I put my plushie making skills to the test to make an adorable Sprigatito plushie. But now, 2 challengers have entered the ring. Can my handmade Sprigatito hold up to official Pokemon plushies? Today, we find out. Buy versus DIY. A simple concept, really. You buy something, make your own version, compare them, and see which one was the better investment. Which is why I got the best Sprigatito plushie I could buy on a YouTuber's salary. Oh, you think I make money off these videos? No, I don't. I would have loved to compare to like a Build-A-Bear, but you can't find those for under $80. Oh my gosh, I found one for $40. Oh my gosh, it's $40. Well, that makes this video a whole lot more interesting. So hello everybody, my name is Micah, and today we're making a Sprigatito plushie and putting it to the test against 2 store-bought plushies. And in the end, we'll see who can win it all and be named the best Sprigatito plushie. We'll be doing the scoring of these plushies at the end of the video after the glamour shots. So stick around until after those to see who wins. Now, let's get to work. First up, the design. Since I already had a decent base to work off of both design and pattern-wise with my Eevee plush, we're mostly going to be modifying that one to make our Sprigatito. The main differences are going to be small details, like the tail, ears, and fluffy bits, which I did make a prototype head to test. And then I also adjusted the overall size of the body to get the proportions right. I do worry that sizing down the body will affect the hug feel, but right now it's more important to get the proportions right than to keep the exact same hug feel that Eevee has. So now we can move on to the fabric. We have this minty color for Sprigatito's base, and this ridiculously neon green for the darker bits. We also have this for the inside of the ears, and this for little details like the nose. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not Sprigatito's color palette, and you are 10,000% correct. But there are a couple different reasons why I have these colors for Sprigatito. One of those reasons being that this specific fur that I use, it only really comes in 3 shades of green from the manufacturer. In that sense, it was kind of this or nothing. You may think, then Micah, just use a different type of fabric then. But here's the deal, patterns are fabric specific. If I got a totally different fabric that I'd never used before, I'd have no idea if it actually would work with my pattern until I got some and tested the stretch. And if it didn't match up with the stretch of the fabric that I usually use, I'd have to completely remake the pattern, which I 100% do not have time to do. So these are the colors Sprigatito will be. A neon green and a bluish mint. And honestly, if you just think of her like a shiny Sprigatito, it all starts to look a whole lot better. But now, with that out of the way, let's get started on this plushie. Okay, now all our pieces are cut out. But it looks like we're losing our light a little bit, so let me just fix that real quick. Alright, that's better. Now, let's get to work. Wait, guys, I almost forgot about the foam. It's the most important part. Okay, we have the head all put together. Let's just take off this tissue paper. And now I've just gotta tuck these ears in. Then we're gonna sew them down and I'll be right back. Okay, it's done! But now that we have the head done, we're gonna have to make the eyes. Now, just like my Eevee video, we're making custom glass eyes for this little cutie. They take forever, but they look so good in the end, it almost doesn't matter. Oh, and as a side note, you can get a tutorial on how to make these custom glass eyes over on my Patreon. Oh, hey, as long as we're on the topic of Patreon, it's an awesome place to support me and my work for as little as $3 a month. That's less than a coffee. You get awesome benefits like coloring pages, phone backgrounds, tutorials, sewing patterns, and so much more. So check out patreon.com/SewMicah for some more fun. Or if that's a bit too much and a commitment you don't want to make, you can leave a super thanks in the comments for as little as $1.99. You get a highlighted comment. It's a one-time commitment to support me and my work right here on YouTube. Lastly, a huge thank you to my Pixie tier and above patrons who keep this channel running. Now, back to the video. But next, I cleared the desk and got to work making those gorgeous little eyes. So for the eyes, I have a couple different colors. Black for the pupil, this purpley pink for the main color, and then these two for the white bits. I am not sure which one I want to use yet, so I'm gonna have to run some tests to figure that out. So I'll do those off camera real quick, and then we can get started on the actual eyes. Okay, so here's the deal. At some point, I realized with all the different colors I was using, I had to be more careful with how I was painting things. Otherwise, they just weren't going to work out. So I got my face down 2 inches from the paper and started painting like I was painting a T&D minifig. And obviously, that doesn't make for a great shot for you all, so the rest of the painting is gonna have to be off camera. Does my back hurt? Yes. But do the eyes look good? Also, yes. So who's the real loser now, huh? Oh, still me? I thought so. Ah, my back. Okay, back to the eyes. Okay, that took about a million years, but we do have our eyes done. I gave up on this set almost immediately, gave up on this set 2/3 of the way through, and this is the final set. Now we have 2 of each eye, 2 left, 2 right, and I'm just gonna pick which ones look the best. But first, let's clean up this desk for the resin. Okay, looks like we're ready for the resin. First things first though, we have to trace around these eyes. Then we can get to the resin. Let's see what we've got. Look at them. Okay, they're not perfect, and they're probably not even as good as my Eevee eyes, but I still think they're pretty cute. And once they're on a fluffy, adorable plushie, it's not gonna matter. And speaking of that fluffy, adorable plushie, let's get back to work on that. Okay, now we have the head done and the eyes done, so let's stuff the head so that we can get the eye positioning right. Okay, you wanna see a sneak peek? Ta-da! Isn't she so cute, just like already? And she's just a floating head! This is always a very lucky moment when I have a pattern that can have the head separate, because I can stuff it and see what it's gonna look like beforehand. Makes the I hate it phase a little bit easier. Now, I'll be honest with you, there were a few things I needed to fix about this. One of which being the mouth. It was just like a straight line across when I turned it right side too. So I did a little sculpting with my scissors. It's a little bit better now. Other thing you might be able to tell is off about this are the little things on the side of the eyes. See, without this, they're like non-existent. And I'm not sure if I like that. Yeah, the design seems like it's more consistent if it's like that, but I really feel like it should be showing a little bit more on the sides. So I'm gonna see if I can hand sew these pieces down once the plushie is finished. And hopefully, since it's fur, you won't even be able to tell. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. Each of those eyes have 6 stalks. And for those 12 total stalks, the head has a total of 24 holes in it. But you didn't hear that from me. Now that we have the head and eyes all finalized though, we're gonna need to put the body body together. You would think this would be a super simple task. Just match things up and sew them together. But here's the thing. Micah's been avoiding something. There's one thing I still haven't decided about this plush, and that's what fabric to make the toe beans out of. See, I have this light pink Mochi Minky that I used for Evie's toe beans, and I absolutely loved it. But what would make more sense design-wise would be to use the same darker pink that the eyes and nose are. I've been thinking about this the entire time I've been making this project, and I just have no idea what to choose. The darker one makes more sense, but the lighter one feels so nice. It makes squishy toe beans. Oh, and I think that is my answer, yeah. Squishy toe beans. Now let's get that body put together. Okay, now that we have the body done, we've got to start attaching some circles, like the feet and the head. And where did that one piece go? Oh, there it is. This goes on top of the tail. That way, when we turn it right side too, it'll have a little bit of structure. So I'll just snap these feet on real quick. And now we can get the head on the body. Okay, now we can turn it right side too. But first, this is terrifying. But watch out. Okay, now let's turn it right side too so it can stop being so creepy. Okay, the skin is done. And honestly, this was impossible to turn right side too. Like, she's just got such a tiny neck. And her eyes are massive. The last eye, don't know if you could tell, literally got stuck in the neck hole. I was so worried I was gonna break one of them. But they're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Now here's the deal. If you've made it this far into the video to the point where you're seeing the skin of the plushie done, you've probably enjoyed it. At least a little bit. Not to mention the people who watch my channel are the sweetest people. So that's how I know the only reason you have not liked and subscribed yet is because you just kind of forgot. And that's okay, I forget too. So here's your obligatory remember to like and subscribe. But now we gotta move on to the best part. Let's go. Okay, first things first, we gotta stuff the head and check for mistakes. All right, now that we have the head all stuffed, and I also stuffed the tail a little bit, it's now the moment you've all been waiting for. It's bean time! Okay, now it's time to get to hand sewing. All we're gonna need for this project are 3 colors of thread. A green, a pink, and a white. Now you may be wondering, why are you using white thread? There is nothing white on this plushie. Well, that is because I do not have this color of thread. So I thought white would be close enough. But we're actually gonna start with this pink. We only need it for one tiny little piece, and that is the nose. Okay, that chest fluff was a monster. Absolutely ridiculous. That is why there was like no footage of me sewing that. But now we can finally move on to adding some toes. Now all we have to do is sew up the stuffing hole and she should be ready to go. complete. Now it's time for the scoring. Our categories are time, price, accuracy, hug feel, and sensory feel. And all of these are scored out of 10. There's also the possibility of up to 5 bonus points if there's something extra special about the plushie that doesn't quite fit into the regular categories. And we don't stick to just numbers around here. We also have rankings. These are our rankings, and every plushie I ever review will land in one of these. All of this should help you in case you are looking to find a Sprigatito plushie of your own. With the help of this section, you should know just about everything you need to choose which plushie is right for you. Now, without any further ado, let's get to scoring. Our first category, price. Now, I know the thumbnail says mine is priced at $400, but that actually includes equipment like my sewing machine, which I'm not going to count in the scoring because one could technically hand sew this plushie. Would it be as clean as with the machine? Probably not, but it could technically be done. And I wanted to give mine a fighting chance. Hey, I could have also counted hours instead of days in the time category, so let's call it a draw. Speaking of draws though, we actually have a tie for last place in this category, with both the Build-A-Bear and my handmade Sprigatito. They both cost about the same amount, and I wish they were both a little cheaper. So they're both gonna get a 5 out of 10 in this category. Little Sprigatito, on the other hand, takes an early lead with an 8 out of 10. It may have had to come in a 3-pack to get this price, but dividing it out, it was only about $12 per plush. Next up, time. Bringing up the rear again, it's a tie between the Build-A-Bear and my Sprigatito. They both took exactly 10 days to make their way here, but I am docking the Build-A-Bear 0.5 points. That is because it kind of ruined my schedule, coming in 2 days later than initially estimated. And I still had to stuff it the day it came in. So that's a 4.5 for the Build-A-Bear and 5 points for my handmade Sprigatito. And again, our little buddy taking the lead with 2-day shipping, giving them a solid 8 out of 10. Now let's move on to accuracy. And this time we finally have a change up in the scores. Unfortunately, that's at the expense of my Sprigatito, who's bringing up the rear with a 7.5 out of 10. I think the colors just being so off really pulled away from it feeling like Sprigatito. The Build-A-Bear did slightly better with an 8 out of 10 for their goofy face and slightly off body. Looks like a wiener dog. The little Sprigatito, however, is 100% spot on. 10 out of 10 couldn't be better aesthetic-wise. Now on to hug feel, and this is where things get changed up quite a bit. Because in last place for this category, we have the tiny Sprigatito. I know, right? And no, it's not because it's little. I account for that in the scoring. The problem is, even though it's adorable, it's kind of a stiff little statue. Really just a shelf-sitter decor plushie. I have other small plushies like this one that have a great hug feel. I just scaled down the hug feel to more of a hand hug feel. But this one, unfortunately, just doesn't have it. Meaning it's getting a terrible 2 in this category. The other two ended up doing quite a bit better in this category, with the Build-A-Bear getting a 6 for its body being too small and its head being kind of too big. My Sprigatito, on the other hand, got a 9.5 in this category. The only issue with mine, again, being that its body is a little smaller than is perfectly comfortable. Otherwise, a great hug feel. Our last main category is sensory feel. I'm autistic, so this category is really important to have when reviewing plushies. One bad texture and I may never touch that plushie again. Thankfully though, all 3 plushies did pretty well here. The Build-A-Bear has a 6 for being just kind of average. Tiny Sprigatito gets an 8.5 for being really smooth, but having hard ears I'm scared I'll bend and ruin on accident. Also because most of the fluffy bits are made of single layers of fabric, which, to make sure they don't fray, get melted, which leaves a crusty edge. That aside, my Sprigatito came out swinging with a 10 out of 10 in this category. This fur is just immaculate. Plus, it's got other fun textures to mix it up. Mochi Minky on the feet, Cuddle Minky in the ears, and the smooth glass eyes. Overall, all of these plushies did such a good job, each one's having their own strengths and weaknesses. But some gave an extra good showing with a couple of details. So we're giving little Sprigatito an extra point for bringing friends to the party, and a bonus point to my Sprigatito for those gorgeous glass eyes. But now, let's get to the ranking. Okay, I've tallied all the scores, and now it's time for the big reveal. In 3rd place, with a score of 29.5, is the Build-A-Bear Sprigatito. While they did get last place, they gave a pretty good showing in all categories, making them a really good option for anyone looking for a budget-friendly cuddle buddy, if you can find it for store prices, that is. They've also earned themselves the rank of Good Pal. Now, in 1st place, winning by half of a point, with a score of 38, we have the Sew Micah Sprigatito! And that means in second place with a score of 37.5, we have the little Sprigatito. Both of these plushies have earned themselves the rank of lovely Ghiblis today, and they couldn't fit in that category any better. Congratulations to all these lovely plushies for doing so well in today's competition. Tiny Sprigatito did so well today and just missed the win by a hair. If they had had a better hug feel, they would have won this in a landslide. I promise you, I am just as surprised as you are with these results. I fully thought that little Sprigatito was gonna win when I was tallying these points. And I promise, if mine was gonna lose, I would let it lose. We do things fair and square over here to let you know which plushie is the best plushie you can get, which is why I'm planning on starting a new series called Plush Designer Reviews. In that series, I'll rank and review store-bought plushies just like we did here in their own videos on the channel. So keep an eye out for those coming whenever I have the time. Because if you liked this video, you're definitely gonna like those. If I'm totally honest though about this project, I don't love how my Sprigatito came out. Of course, I still love them. I could never not love you. But they didn't turn out the way I wanted. So what do we do when we're not happy with our work? We try again. One day I'll be back and I'll remake this Sprigatito way better than I did this time. And probably without the fur the second time so I can get the colors right. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when Sprigatito Part 2 comes out. Or really any of the other Paldea starters I plan on making at some point. Because I am completing the set. Feel free to let me know in the comments which Paldea starter is your favorite. And don't forget to check out my other Pokemon plushie videos over on the right. I promise they won't disappoint. That's it, we're done. Oof, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat.